So if 10 million Ghanaians are going to have their diet changed, are you telling me the National Biosafety Authority has done its job at this moment, that many people have no clue what GM is, and we're going to switch our watches soon, and God forbid they have their plans, they'll genetically modify the rice, it will be GM rice and beans. And if you read independent research, that is why there's a reason why Bayer Monsanto, which is owned by a German company, is not allowed to plant one GM on German soil. Media men and women of Ghana. Syngenta is a Swiss company owned by Switzerland, and it is not allowed by Swiss law to plant one GM plant on Swiss soil. So we should ask ourselves, so what is so cheap about us that we accept everything that is just good for us? In the 70s, this same kind of research came back. And you know, research, you can tweak research to give you the results that you want. The funder. He who plays the pipe calls the tune. They came to Ghana in the 70s and told your mothers and fathers and all our uncles and aunties that palm oil, shea nut butter, and coconut oil were unhealthy and they were highly saturated fats. So what did they do? We started eating hydrogenated fats. Today, speak to the doctors. They will tell you that that is the cause of all the lifestyle-related diseases. But it was a kind of research that came to take us off that path. They are here again, and we are warning you. GMO is the reason why, if you go to a shop in Europe, organic food is sold at a premium. Who pays premium for bola? Who really pays premium for rubbish? So why wouldn't we want our Ghanaian farmers to be in a regime where, when we've gotten all that we would like to eat here, they can export to the biggest markets? After all, where we are positioned, we have an advantage over East Africa, 6 hours to Europe by air. We should be creating an organic haven, this black star of Africa. And yet, because a few people have seen a few people, they're saying all of you want GM cowpea, all of you want GMO wachi, all of you want GMO kosi. It's almost criminal. And that's why we're calling on the Attorney General's office, who should know better, that there's a case in court. We've been going to court for 8 years. There's a case in court as we speak, where they are the defendants, that they should know better not to allow the release of 14 GMOs, whether it's for food consumption through the mouth or on the soil, because the case is challenging the commercial release of the BT cowpea. So if we don't respect the law, this place will be a jungle. So we should ask ourselves these pertinent questions. Our neighbors in Burkina were growing GM cotton. About 3, 4, 5 years ago, they stopped growing GM cotton. Why? Because the buyers who were buying their GM cotton said the cotton quality and the fiber was going down. So what did they do? They went back to the normal cotton. When they went back to normal cotton, they got a higher yield. This demystifies the myth that GM will give you a higher yield. They got a higher yield, but I'm telling you now that Burkina has leadership which is thinking transgenerational, that GM agenda is done. There will be no GM agenda in Niger, in Mali, in Burkina, in Senegal, because they're thinking intergenerationally. If Ghana is going to continue to follow, we'll be one of the last when we were first. So the media have an extremely important role in educating Ghanaians, and I think it's evident, but I won't say it. I'll leave it to you. You check your listeners, check your audience, how much they know about GMO. Some of you even here, how much you know about GMO. That will tell you whether the National Biosafety Authority has met its mandate to educate Ghanaians and even get their endorsement that, yeah, Ghana no, you pay GMO. Go to Mokola, there's nobody there that knows about GMO. Go and ask them, this is a reflection of the fact that there's a fraud going on. So we are not answerable to the international community. We are answerable to the people of Ghana. So should our politicians be answerable to the people of Ghana. And I think it's media people that have that power as the fourth realm of the estate to force them to be responsible.
Now, the National Biosafety Authority is mandated by law to ensure that the public is aware of any developments regarding GMOs. Now, when the approval was given by the NBA, the expectation is that the NBA would have released a statement to the public that they have approved 14 GMO varieties, either for processing or for feed. And they explained to the Ghanaian public what that means for them. They didn't do that. It had to take an international journal to publish the story first for the Ghanaian people. Secondly, after a week or so, when the Daily Graphic reporter picked the story and published, The NBA also didn't respond. They were quiet. If you go to their website, there was no information whatsoever on these varieties. It had to take the efforts of other CSOs and PFAC to release a statement questioning why that was released. And then 24 hours later, they released the statement. So if they had nothing to hide, why weren't they the first institution mandated by law to release the statement on the GMOs? So that shows that they are now controlling the damage that has been done already. Now, when you come to the statement itself, the National Biosafety Authority, per the act that establishes them, is supposed to constitute a board. And as part of the board is a rep from the Ministry of Food and Agric. Now, we all saw the ministry statement where they said that they've not approved anything. And in fact, in the ministry statement, they could tell that they had no idea what was going on. So the question is, how come a ministry that's supposed to be on the board of the National Biosafety Authority has no idea regarding the approval of these GM varieties? It shows that there's something amiss somewhere. And we have to take that into consideration. We have the opinion that if you accept GMOs, it is akin to accepting galamsey in the country. Because the way galamsey works, where these rich people come and buy the farms from the cocoa farmers. So if they come to your farm and they give you money to sell their farm to them, and you refuse, they'll go to the next neighbor and then they'll buy from the next neighbor. If he agrees, by the time you realize that you don't want to sell your farm, by the time you realize all your neighbors have sold their farms to them, your farm is in the middle, what happens to you? You'll be forced to sell your farm. And that's how the GM is going to operate. It is akin to accepting galamsey, and that's why we are against it.
They are, by extent, and us also, by extension, are being offered only genetic manipulation lobbied for by European companies that are even selling things that are banned in their own mother countries. Is it because farmers are poor and are being kept poor intentionally, so that we too, as a lowly Ghanaian nation, also being kept poor, are easier to manipulate for election purposes and nation-breaking and country-destroying for the 4 years in between those elections? For 500 years, capitalism and capitalists have ravaged the world and shown total disregard for people and Africans in particular. We can be sure then that there are puppets in Ghana's government who have shown themselves and their policies are totally for sale to public or private buyers. Again, Economic Fighters League stand in total support and solidarity with Food Sovereignty Ghana in their action against the Ghana Biosafety Authority. Thank you.